When a music legend tells you your wife could do better, most people would panic. Dax Shepard made it a joke. At the 2026 Golden Globes, the Armchair Expert host finally addressed what everyone's been talking about. Cher, the icon herself, sat down with Kristen Bell on his podcast just days earlier and said something nobody expected. She looked at Dax and admitted she thinks Kristen could find someone better. Just straight up said it. And Dax, he agreed with her on the spot. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of backtracking or getting defensive, Dax owned the entire moment. On the red carpet, he told reporters they thought the whole thing was absolutely hilarious. That's why they posted it. No damage control, no PR spin, just pure confidence in what he and Kristen have built together. Then he took it even further. Dax joked that Kristen actually listened to Cher's advice and served him divorce papers last week. He said he was hoping not to see his wife at the ceremony because the ink wasn't even dried yet. The sarcasm was thick, the chemistry between them was undeniable, and everyone watching could see this wasn't a couple on the rocks. This was a couple so secure in their relationship they could laugh at the internet losing its mind. But let's rewind. How did we even get here? On January 5th, Cher appeared on Armchair Expert alongside Kristen Bell. The two worked together on Burlesque years ago and have stayed close ever since. During the conversation, Cher made her thoughts crystal clear. She looked at Dax and said, "I know you think she could do better, and I don't disagree." The room went silent for a second. Then Dax responded with total honesty. He said, yeah, he knows. He's aware. He's not living in denial about who his wife is. Cher didn't stop there, though. She said, "The truth is, I trust her, so you must have something I don't see." And then she added, "You seem like a good dad." That's when the tone shifted, because Cher wasn't actually dragging Dax. She was protecting her friend. She was making sure Kristen was with someone worthy. And once she saw how Dax responded, how he talked about his wife, how he celebrated her success instead of feeling threatened by it, Cher understood. Dax explained it perfectly. He said he's not threatened by Kristen shining. In fact, the shinier she gets, the better. That's not something you hear often in Hollywood. Most relationships crumble under the weight of one partner's success, not theirs. Dax actively wants Kristen to outshine him. He polishes her so she shines brighter. Those were his exact words. He's the kind of partner who lifts you up instead of holding you back. Kristen backed him up immediately. She told Cher, "There's a lot to this man. Trust me," she said. "He's a slow burn, but you're going to learn to love him. He's almost too good for me." That's a powerful statement. She didn't just defend him, she flipped the narrative entirely. She made it clear that Dax isn't lucky to have her. They're lucky to have each other. And this isn't just talk. They've been married for 12 years. They share 2 daughters, Lincoln and Delta. They've built a life together that's grounded in trust and communication. Kristen told reporters last year that even if Dax hooked up with the most beautiful person in the world at work, she knows he's committed to their family. She knows he's coming home. That level of trust doesn't just happen. It's earned through years of showing up for each other. They've also been incredibly open about the work that goes into their marriage. Kristen explained that if she ever felt nervous about someone Dax was spending time with, they'd talk about it. No games, no silent treatment, just honest conversation. And Dax would do the same for her. That's the foundation they've built. It's not perfect, they're human, but they communicate through everything. So when Cher made those comments, it didn't shake them. It gave them another opportunity to show the world what a healthy partnership actually looks like. They laughed together, they supported each other on the red carpet. Dax was nominated for Best Podcast. Kristen was nominated for Best Female Actor in a television series for Nobody Wants This. They were both celebrating each other's wins instead of competing. This whole situation could have turned into a media nightmare. A legendary icon questioning someone's marriage on a public podcast would normally spark tabloid chaos, but not for them. They turned it into a masterclass in confidence. They showed that when you're secure in your relationship, outside opinions don't matter, even when that outside opinion comes from Cher herself. The internet went wild over the original podcast clip. People were divided. Some thought Cher was out of line, others thought she was just being protective of her friend. But what nobody could deny was the way Dax and Kristen handled it, with humor, with grace, with complete trust in what they've built together. And that's the real story here. Not that Cher thinks Kristen could do better, but that Dax and Kristen are so solid, so unshakable, that they can turn a potentially awkward moment into proof of why their marriage works. They don't need validation from anyone. They have each other, and that's always been enough. The Golden Globes appearance was just the cherry on top. Dax cracking jokes about divorce papers while standing next to his wife who's glowing from her nomination, Kristen calling him almost too good for her while he talks about polishing her so she shines brighter. This isn't a couple pretending to be happy for the cameras. This is a couple who genuinely understands what partnership means. Cher ended up seeing exactly what Kristen sees, a man who's not intimidated by his wife's success, a father who shows up for his kids, a husband who communicates openly and honestly, someone who makes her laugh even when the world is watching and waiting for them to crack. They didn't crack, they never do, and after 12 years together, that's not changing anytime soon. But something tells me this conversation is far from over.